Hey beauty babes, welcome to my channel. I'm Maria, aka Agape Love Girl. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today I'm going to be playing with and testing out some products that I received from Coastal Scents. Now I do believe Coastal Scents is a very affordable brand, so I'm really excited to put some of these products to the test and let you guys know my thoughts and opinions on them. So real quick, let me just let you know what I got. So I did receive this Think Pink palette. It came packaged really cute like this. And this is what the palette looks like. It is a nice, sturdy plastic palette with a really big, really nice mirror actually. The quality is very, very nice. Now what's really cool is that this is an interchangeable palette. So all of these little eyeshadow hot pots, as they call them, are available to come up and out. They are magnetic, and what's really nice is that, like, say you really love a shade and you run out of it and you want to buy another one, you can. All the names are on the back of the eyeshadows, so you can switch them out, purchase backups, or purchase different colors and create your own little custom palette if you wanted to. So anyways, I have that to play with. I do also have an eyeshadow primer to try out. I'm very excited to see if that's gonna work. And then I have some individual brushes that I got to pick out to try myself, but I'm also really, really excited because I picked out their Elite brush set bamboo collection that looks like this. It looks really, really nice. There's 24 brushes in here. I just like the packaging. I think it's very, very nice. But this is how they come packaged. This is a very nice little case. It is magnetic and it opens up like this. There are brushes for the eyes as well as the face. And we're going to do like a full face and eyes today. Obviously the face products will be from my makeup basket, but I'm going to be testing out the face brushes here. And hopefully there'll be something for everything that I need for my face. So that's how we're going to do this today. I'm going to go ahead and start off with my eyes, and I'm going to start off by priming them with their eye primer, which is called Step 1. Okay, now this is a little bit of a slippy, kind of oily type of primer, so a little bit's kind of going a long way. It's very, it's just very fluid, kind of liquidy. So I feel like it shouldn't be like that. I'm not quite sure, but anyways, I'm just gonna kind of work it in, tap it on my lid, move it around, and then we'll move on. Before I do move on, I want to use some shadow shield. They've kind of been my go-to thing to use lately ever since I rediscovered them. I forgot I'd purchased them a couple years ago actually, and then fully forgot about them. But I found them again and I was like, oh, I'm going to start using those and see if they could help me with a winged liner. And I've been loving them when I do my makeup because they really truly do help me get a really great winged liner when I do my makeup. So anyways, what I do is just take one of the shadow shields and then I cut it in half and then apply each half to the outer edge of my eyes, and so that helps me when I do my shadows and then in the end create a winged liner. Alright, now that I look like a total weirdo with these on, but truly they help. They're so wonderful. I'm gonna check out the palette. Now this is filled with a bunch of pinks. It is the Think Pink palette, so we really can only do really a pink look, but there are some kind of grays in here and there's a black. I think what I'm going to do is go in with that very first pink, light pink shade. I'm going to take their Pro Blending Fluff brush. This is one of the individual brushes that I got, and it's the BR250, and I'm going to take that and just place it into my crease just lightly. Now this is more of a flat blending brush, and none of the brushes I just looked through them are like round fluffy brushes, so I may have to pull in other brushes from my brush collection to use, but I'm going to try not to do that if I can help it. Okay, this color is very, very light, but I mean, it's light in the pan. I think it would have been better if I had put on a little bit of concealer to help kind of blank out my dark circles in addition to the eyeshadow primer, but it's building up a little bit. It doesn't seem too dry. It's blending very nicely, so it's not, you know, looking chalky or anything like that, but it's just a very, very light shade. This brush feels nice and soft. It's not anything amazing just yet from what I can tell. I really wish I would have picked out maybe a more fluffy round brush. I didn't think about that. I kind of was thinking there might be one in that big Elite brush set, but there really isn't a fluffy blending brush for me to use. So anyways, this is doing it. Now I think I need to go into a little bit of a deeper shade, and I'm kind of drawn to this very last one here in the top row, and that one is called magenta. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and take that on the same brush and kind of pack that into my outer corner, outer V area, and then lightly blend it forward and upwards into my crease as well. Ooh, now that's a really, really nice shade. Alright, I feel like that color is really, really nice, really pretty, but I did lose some of that baby pink because I did keep it kind of so low and I didn't have really a fluffy blending brush. So I'm just going to take this one. This is my Smith 232. It's just a big, fat, kind of round, fluffy brush. I'm going to dip back into that first shade. I think it was called Baby Pink. And just lightly kind of blend that shade and kind of smoke it up just a little bit. I want to mix it with that magenta shade, a smidge, and just smoke it up a little bit higher. I imagine this look is going to be very simple, you guys. I'm not trying to do anything like tutorial-esque or like really difficult or anything. I'm just testing out. Literally, this is the first time I'm trying these shadows and testing them out. So we're doing this together. Alright, I know this is very simple, but I think it looks really pretty. And just in case you guys are curious, I always update my thoughts and opinions on products that I'm testing out for the month in my beauty replay series here on my channel, which I post at the beginning of every month, recapping and reviewing all the products that I've tried out the previous month. So my update on this palette will be in next month's beauty replay video as I get a chance to try it more and more. So anyways, this palette does have several shimmer shades down here. So this bottom row is all mattes. They're really pretty little pink matte shades. Then we have some shimmers up here. Then I have a black up here, which I would say maybe is kind of looking like it's a little bit of a satiny shade. It looks almost matte, but maybe has a little bit of a sheen to it. So I would call that a satin. So I do want to put one of these shimmers on my lid, and I might maybe deepen up just slightly with that black to see what it does. Just to keep this very simple. I'm kind of gravitating towards this pink right here. It's a really beautiful, like hot pink shade. It's called Coral Rose. Ooh, that's a pretty name. And then if I want to do something a little bit more grungy, I'm kind of looking at this bottom one here that's a little bit more cooler tone. It looks like it might be duochrome. I'm not sure, but it's called, oh, Light Plum. I'm going to swatch those real quick right now just to see what I think. I don't know. Ooh, this one looks really nice and mysterious, but I feel like that's going to look a little bit too close to the look I literally just posted. It'll probably be up before this video if the timing goes right for editing. So I kind of think I want to go with the hot pink look and stick to... This just looks so pretty. Maybe I'll use that as the inner corner or something. So yeah, I'm going to go in with the shade Coral Rose and bring that to the majority of my lid. And for that, I'm going to grab one of the brushes from the Elite brush set that I have. It's just this very, very flat brush. It does have a number. It says BR-B-S20. So I'm going to see how that applies to this shade. Okay, it's applying pretty nicely. It's like the pigmentation's there, but honestly I would say it's like nothing to like write home about, nothing like super exciting. It's just, you can tell the quality of the shadows are, you know, of lower quality, not the best quality, but they are performing. And I feel like this look now, it's like, it almost looks like all one color. I don't feel like there's much dimension, and of course well, if you look in the pan, the colors look different, but they're all looking kind of the same on the eyes, so I don't know if that was the smartest choice. Definitely feel like I'm going to need to deepen it up with something. And I'm not getting much sheen from this color. I think I might need a setting spray or something. I'm just going to kind of keep packing it on and see. I will just say that this is like a big reason why I don't love doing first impressions on camera. I typically like to come on camera after having tested out and tried a product at least once or twice. That way I have a general idea of how they perform and what I want to do. That way I can let you guys know how I've worked out the kinks already. And I don't ever really call those reviews. I usually call those first impressions as well. But just I have a little bit more knowledge to share with you. But literally first impressions for me are just so like, I feel like it's all over the place and it's really hard to really give you guys the best type of informative video, but I feel like it's also helpful because you can see how I kind of process through testing things out for the first time as well. So anyways, this, like you can see, it went on really nicely, but it's not the best pigmentation. The quality is just okay. I do feel like this look would have been better had I applied maybe a concealer or some kind of primer that had some color to it to give me a better, more blank canvas of a base to use with these. So anyways, it's not terrible, but not something I'm like in love with either. Alright, so now to deepen it up, first I want to go back into that shade of magenta, and then I will go in with a little bit of black to add some depth. And with magenta, I'm just going to be using my Smith 230 brush, which is slightly smaller than that first Smith brush I was using. Okay, I definitely think adding that magenta color back in did add a little bit more definition back into this look, but I do want to deepen it up a little bit with that black shade, which is called Gunmetal. Okay, and again, I'm not really finding another brush in the set that I got that I feel comfortable using, and since I want to kind of give these shadows their best shot, I'm going to go in with a brush that I feel comfortable with using, and this is my Stilazzi Mini Crease Fluff, the L217. It's just a very small blending brush. Okay, this is like barely showing up. I feel like on the viewfinder you can see it a lot better than I'm seeing it in person. I don't know why the viewfinder's adding a little bit more depth, but this, I'm like having to keep dipping. I'm having to keep dipping back into the palette to really build it up. I thought I had to be light-handed, but really I'm needing to go in quite a bit, so. Alright, so here's how the eyes are looking so far. It's not the worst look or anything. I just can tell that the quality of the shadows isn't great. But you can judge for yourself the quality seeing them on my eyes. I think the eye look is pretty. It's very simple, but it's pretty. So, but that's going to be it for the eyes shadow for at least for right now. I am going to go ahead and do a winged liner, and then we will move on to the rest of my face. I am just going to go ahead and speed through my liner application, but I'm going to do it on camera so you guys can see. But I'm using the Ico London Black Magic Liquid Eyeliner in case you were curious. And now the satisfying part. Alright, so as you can see, I have these perfect little wings. These ones are little baby wings. You can definitely make them a little bit bigger. I just decided to keep them small so the focus is on the shadows, but I've been loving that trick to use the shadow shields. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on to the rest of my face now. Alright, so first off, I'm going to put on some primer. I'm just going to go do that with my hands. I considered using a brush, but I don't know if I want to mix that with the brush I'm going to use for foundation. So I'm just going to use my hands. I'm going to be using the Urban Decay All Nighter Primer. Now while I'm letting that set, I'm going to go ahead and add some eyeliner to my waterline. Oop, my hands are all sticky now. Ah, okay. I'm going to line and tight line my eyes with my Rimmel London Kohl liner in the shade Black. Look how small it is. I've almost used this up. This is one of my very favorite drugstore eye gel Kohl liners, whatever you want to call it. Not even just from the drugstore, just in general. This liner from Rimmel London is the best. Alright, moving on to foundation, I'm going to be using the Catrice HD Liquid Coverage Foundation. I have the shade Golden Beige, and to apply I'm going to be using the BR-B-S30 brush to apply it. We'll see how this works. It feels very nice. It feels very soft. It's a little bit more of a flimsy always sounds like such a bad word, but like it's not super dense, let's just say, but it's very soft, and I think this will do a really great job. And I'm just totally gonna go Instagram beauty style and drip these right on my face. Okay, I do feel like this is doing a nice job, but I do kind of think it would work a little bit better if it were a little bit more dense. Because of how big the brush is, and it's so like flexy flimsy and not as dense, like they're kind of really moving all over the place. So while that's great for like my cheeks and bringing it down my neck here, I feel like for more precise spots like my forehead that I'm trying to get at, it's like moving around a little too much. But I am working it. Alright, and I'm not saying a brush that I would care to use or that I think would work well for my concealer, so I'm just going to do that really quickly, speed through it. I'm going to be using the Catrice Liquid Camouflage Concealer. This is the shade Light Beige. I'm just going to apply that real quick with my finger sponge. Right now I'm going to go ahead and set my face, and I grabbed this brush that looks like it'll be beautiful for setting the face. This is the BRB S43. There are some dashes in there, I just left them out. So I'm going to use my loose setting powder, which is my little mix of a bunch of different powders. RCMA No Color Powder, Midnight Banana Powder, and then the Too Faced Tutti Frutti Powder. I never remember what it is, but anyways. I'm just going to use that to set under my eyes and kind of blend that all around the rest of my face. Again, this is a very much more flimsy, soft brush, but for setting powder, I actually don't mind that. Now I'm really quickly just going to go ahead and set my face. Alright, next up I'm going to go ahead and bronze up / contour my face, and I do see that they have an angled brush in this set, which is my preference to use when contouring, bronzing my face up. So anyways, I'm going to be using my Chocolate Soleil bronzer, which I have hit major pan in. Okay, so I will say I feel like this is doing a really great job on my cheeks, the way I like to kind of contour and sculpt out my cheeks, but when I get to my forehead, it's a little bit too soft and flimsy to really place the color down how I like it up there, but I am working it, and it is building up the color, but it's taking a little bit more time than it would with other brushes that I typically prefer. Alright, a little bit of time to build up that color, but yeah, application looks really nice. These brushes are very, very soft, I will say that, but they are just very, very flimsy, like not as dense as I'm just really used to and what I really prefer. I will say I think right off the bat, I'm going to still keep using these right now, but I'm thinking these are not my favorite brushes, and I just want to say really quickly that I'm actually very, very picky about brushes, believe it or not. Like, for example, I know a brush brand that a lot of people love and rave about and call their favorites are the Luxie brushes, and I have a couple of those, and honestly, they're not my favorite. I don't prefer those either. So, I mean, if that can give you any kind of idea of my preference of brushes, so this might be a brush that a lot of people really like. It's already, I can tell, like, I don't imagine really reaching for these brushes a ton just because of how soft and or too flimsy they are. I hate saying flimsy because I feel like there should be a different word from flimsy because that sounds like so bad, like negative, but I don't mean it that way. They're very soft and I like that, but I just prefer a little bit of a denser brush, as well as I just personally prefer natural brushes. I think they perform a lot better. They apply the product a lot better. I know a lot of people don't like natural brushes because they do tend to be a little bit scratchier, maybe to some people compared to synthetic. But I don't know, I just think that they perform so much better. I don't know. So that's my preference. So just so you guys know, so some people I think would love these brushes. Me personally, they're not a preference of a brush that I like. So I just want to let you guys know that. So I feel like it's a little bit of an unfair advantage. But I'm going to go ahead and continue on with blush, and I was tempted to just use the same brush for blush, but I think I want to give this one a try. This one looks like it's more of a meant for powder, but I'm going to try with blush. This is the BRB S27, and I'm going to apply my IT Cosmetics Bye Bye Pores blush in the shade Sweet Cheeks. This is another product that I have hit a lot of pan on as well. I'm very proud of it. Okay, that's performing very, very nicely. I do find that this is a blush that does need to be built up, so that is not on the brushes, this is on the blush. Alright, one more spritz with a setting spray, and then I'm going to go ahead and apply my highlight. In case anybody's curious, the setting spray I'm using is my Hydra Matte Fixing Spray from Revolution Pro. For highlight, they do have a highlighting fan brush in that set. This is the BRB S39, and for my highlight I'm going to be using the CoverGirl True Blend Super Stunner highlighter in the shade Pearl Crush. It might be hard to tell what this highlight is looking like because my blush is so glowy, so I don't know if you're gonna see it or not, but I'm still gonna put it on. A little too much on the nose. I'm gonna have to touch that up and fix it. This highlight is honestly so stunning. The name Super Stunner is perfect because it's seriously such a stunning highlight, literally. And for the drugstore, like, it is one of the best highlighters I've tried. So, so good. If you guys are looking for a drugstore highlighter, I definitely recommend those. Don't you guys love that? Alright, so that applied it really well. Again, this is another one that's a little bit more on the flimsy side, not too dense. I don't typically prefer highlighter brushes like this. I do sometimes use a fan brush if it's a lot thicker of a fan brush. It is synthetic and I think it works nicely, but this one, I usually don't go for the really, really thin fan brushes for my highlight, but that still did a really nice job. I actually kind of preferred that this was a little bit more flimsy and soft than other ones that are usually this thin. In my experience, other fan brushes like this thin, they're a little bit more dense, and I feel like they apply your highlight in almost like a line, like a streak. This one didn't do that, actually kind of like feathered out and blended it a lot nicer. So this was a kind of a win for me. I really liked this one. Even though, like I said, it's not necessarily my preference for a fan brush or a highlight brush, but that one worked really, really nicely. So I think that's it for the face. I think overall my face looks really good. Like I can't be mad at the way my face looks, but I will say that, again, this is just not my preference for brushes, which makes me sad to say because it's not like, I mean, I feel like my makeup looks good, but do I imagine, if I'm speaking honestly, myself reaching for the majority of these brushes? Again, not really. I'm gonna, like I said, keep playing around with them for the month and see if there's maybe any other standouts in this brush set that I, really, really like. I do think this would be a brush set that a lot of other people would like. I'm just very picky with my brushes, I think. So anyways, I just want to say that because I feel like it's just really, I'm just kind of, certain brushes just have an unfair advantage with me because I'm like the Simon Cowell of like pickiness for brushes, you know what I mean? So, anyways, with my face done, I want to go ahead and move on back to my eyes. So I do want to add that black very closely and carefully, if I can, to my lower lash line. And for that, I just grabbed this smudgy brush. So it does have a little smudgy guy from the brush set. This is the BRBS14. And I'm going to go into that black shade. What was it called? Gunmetal, I think. And try to take that very, very close to my lower lash line. Okay, that went on beautifully. I really think the fact that I have some concealer on right there is helping the shadow. Alright, now I do want to soften up that lower lash line, so I'm going to go back in with that very first individual blending brush that I got. It's the BR250. I'm going to take a touch of the shade Magenta and a touch of the baby pink shade, just so I have like a nice little medium pink shade to use, and blend out that black on my lower lash line. Okay, that looks really, really lovely. I feel like, definitely kind of like what I said earlier, with just the primer alone, I felt like these shadows they weren't doing their best. You know what I mean? I feel like I needed more of a blank canvas over my dark circles and like a concealer, maybe in addition to that primer, and it would work good because like I feel like my lower lash line looks pretty good and the shadows blended and applied a little bit better than they did on my lid. So I'm gonna have to keep playing around with it and try different application methods with this palette to see if it, truly does perform a little bit better different ways. But anyways, now I'm gonna do an inner corner highlight, and for that I grabbed this, looks like a little bit of a thick pencil brush, and this is the BRBS09, and I'm gonna go into, this is the shade White Silver. I kind of think this little pencil brush is going to do a really great job for the inner corner. Yeah, that's doing a really great job. I kind of like that it's very dense but pointed, so it's really packing the color on there, but it's doing it in a precise way. Alright, so I'm finished with the eyes. I'm going to go ahead and put on some mascara, do something about my foundation crusted lips, and then be back to wrap up my thoughts and first impressions on these products. Alright, I am back and I'm going to give you guys a closer look at my makeup now that it's complete with mascara and things like that, just so you guys can get a little bit of a, better feel for how everything looks. Now I will say that overall I like my makeup today. I think I created a really pretty look. I like the pink, even though I wasn't sure I would like the pink because I'm not super big into pinks, but this is a really pretty look. I'm definitely feeling it today. Overall my face makeup I think looks really good. It was applied really well, even though those brushes weren't necessarily my preference, as I said throughout this video. But overall I think my makeup looks great. That being said though, I think you guys can tell that overall my first impressions of these products are not the best, but as usual, I'm going to keep playing around with these products and testing them out throughout the rest of the month, and will update in next month's beauty replay video so I can give you guys a better feel. I definitely don't like leaving reviews on first impressions because there's just so much more that can go into products aside from the very first time, and when you're trying it for the first time, there's always going to be, well, not always. I mean, if a product's just really good right off the bat, I mean, you could know right away. Sometimes there's products like that, but sometimes there's different ways that you can you need better techniques or application that just requires a little bit more. You know what I mean? So I like to always do that and give products a fair chance before just saying this is my final review of something. You know what I mean? So anyways, with that being said, let's go ahead and just kind of run down the product. So first up, I want to talk about the primer. I had a little bit of issues with this because it's very like liquidy, very kind of oily. I don't think it's necessarily supposed to be like that. I feel like I just need to keep like, you know, kneading it like this and really mixing it together. When I first got this, I did open it up and I did that actually on camera in my Mailbox Monday video. I opened it up to squeeze them out to see what it was like, and it was liquidy then, and I noticed that I would probably need to knead it. So I had kneaded this a little bit and tried to mix up the product today before applying it, and I still dealt with quite a bit of liquidiness, but I think I just need to kind of keep playing around with it and see if that goes away, and maybe that's just something that happens within the first couple of uses, because I feel like it could be a good primer, but as it is now being so oily, it's not that great. So I will keep playing with it and see if it kind of, that oiliness kind of blends in a little bit better. I feel like it has the potential to be a decent primer, but I wasn't loving it today. Now let's talk about the palette. Like I said, I like the pink look I did today. I'm not super big into pink, so this palette wasn't something that I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited for, but I was really excited to still try it because I may have tried Coastal Scents in the past, but I don't really recall the quality of them. So I was really excited to try. Now, one thing I want to say is that about the palette, I think it's really nice. It's a very sturdy palette. The mirror is actually really, really beautiful, really, really good quality. I really like that this is a reusable palette. Additionally, I like that the magnet to these is very strong, but it's still easy to get these out, and I like that the names are on the back so you know what they are if you want to replace them and things like that. These shadows are very affordable. Individually, each shadow I think is just $3. I was just on this website earlier. They're Hot Pots, and they're $3. And currently, as I'm filming this, they're 50% off, so they're right now only $1.50. I'm not sure how long that sale is going to last, but I'm just letting you know in case you're interested and you want to check it out. Possibly look into it because you could get several shadows very, very cheap. But that being said, considering they are so cheap, the quality I feel like matches the price. They're not terrible. The mattes especially I think are decent. I think I can work with them, especially if I do have a concealer on my eyelids too in addition to a primer. I think the mattes have potential, but where I have the main like disappointment is really with the shimmer shades. I just felt like they were a little bit lackluster, a little bit sheer. They could be built up, like you saw when I put it on my lid, like the color was there, but it just wasn't like bam pigmentation. It was more like a wash of color, and that could be fine for some people, but for me I was just like not as impressed by it. So are they terrible? No, they're not terrible, but are they, I wouldn't necessarily call them good either. I mean, that sounds so mean. I hate to sound mean, but that's just my truth, like what I think about these shadows. I definitely will keep playing around with them and seeing if there's better ways to apply them and things like that. So let's talk about the brush set. Now I did have a couple other individual brushes to try that I didn't get to. I'm going to keep playing with those this month too, and I'll have to update you guys as a whole in Beauty Rewind. But this brush set I think is a nice brush set, but it's definitely not for me. I think if you were someone who liked like Luxie brushes, which I know are pretty expensive brushes, but they are synthetic brushes, and these kind of remind me of them. So I feel like this is probably could be a more affordable option if you like the brush shapes and things like that. So I feel like of the face brushes, the shapes that they have here, I think there's a good like, There's a good range for the face brushes. Like you have this flat top kabuki that's going to be great for foundation. This one could be a powder brush or a blush brush. You have another one that could be a powder or a blush brush that I use for blush. This one that's really great for chiseling, you know, for bronzer contour. You have this flat one, which I don't know, I feel like I would use this one for like masking, so that might be great. Then you have like a paddle brush, which is like a paddle foundation brush, so you could use that. And then over here I use the fan brush. So I think the range for the face brushes is really nice, but the eyeshadow brushes, I was like looking at them and I'm like, oh, I don't really see a lot of brushes in here that are my preference to use on my eyes. Like there's some detailed ones that I think would be kind of good to use for like liner, and I'm doing like a glitter cut crease or something like that. And there's like some smudgy ones, but there wasn't really any blending brushes that I can use. So like the eye brush section I thought was a little like lackluster, but I'm gonna play around with some more of these because there are some in here that I could use. But yeah, so I feel like half of this brush set is kind of a little slightly unusable for me, but the face brushes, I like the shape of those, even though they are a little more flimsy than I would prefer for my brushes and things like that. But overall, I think it's a nice set. Honestly, will it be one I reach for a ton after I'm done reviewing them? Probably not. In all honesty, I will probably pass these along to my daughter, my 16-year-old daughter, who will probably be a little less picky about brushes than I. So anyways, I'm just gonna leave it there. We're gonna wrap this up for my first impressions. I really hope you guys enjoyed hearing my thoughts and opinions on these products and at least seeing them in action. You guys can kind of judge for yourself, because the thing is about makeup, it's so personal and it's personal preference. So that's why it's nice to show them in action so you guys can see what I'm doing, see how they apply, see how they work, and if it's something that you think might work for you, then that's really great, even if it's something that doesn't work for me. So anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and list out the products that I use in the description box, so if you're interested in checking them out, you can. But with all that being said, I just want to thank you so much for watching, and until next time, much love and hugs to you. Bye, beauty babes. Mwah!